If you thought you'd already seen the worst of it, think again, because this time, the chaos didn't just trend, it spiraled completely out of control. What started as messy live streams, loud relationships, and internet theatrics has now crossed into territory that even longtime fans weren't ready for. Blueface has always lived in controversy. That part wasn't shocking. But when the conversation suddenly shifted toward Chrisean Jr., the internet froze and then exploded. Clips were replayed, words were slowed down, screenshots spread like wildfire, and just like that, what looked like another moment turned into full-blown outrage in real time. Blogs went into overdrive, comment sections turned into courtrooms, and silence made everything worse. No clean denial, no clear explanation, just fragments. And fragments are dangerous when the internet starts connecting dots. Some fans defended him, others felt betrayed, and many asked the same question at the same time. Was this really just clout? Or did something much darker just surface? Because when a child becomes part of the chaos, the rules change. This is Hood Files, where secrets explode before your eyes. The internet couldn't believe it, and you won't either. If you were in this position, same pressure, same backlash, same silence closing in, what would you do? Let's break it all down. And trust me, it gets uglier. For years, controversy followed Blueface like background noise. Not loud enough to end anything. Not serious enough to stop momentum. Just constant, live stream chaos. Relationship theatrics. Arguments played out in front of millions like reality TV with no commercial breaks. Fans shrugged and said, "That's just him." Critics rolled their eyes and said, "This won't end well." And somehow, both sides were right. Because when you build a brand around disorder, the line between entertainment and damage gets blurry. At first, it's funny, then it's tiring, and then one day, without warning, it crosses into territory no one signed up for. The internet didn't notice it right away. It never does. At first, it looked like just another loud moment inside an already loud online circus. A rant here, a careless comment there. Nothing that hadn't happened before. Nothing that would have survived a full 24-hour news cycle. People clipped it, reposted it, laughed, argued, and moved on. But then something shifted. Someone replayed the clip. Then someone else slowed it down. Captions started changing. What sounded like noise began to sound intentional. What felt like chaos started to feel careless. Screenshots appeared with darker wording. The tone of the comments changed. Jokes disappeared. And suddenly, the conversation wasn't about antics anymore. It was about Chrisean Rock. And more specifically, about Chrisean Jr. That's when the internet stopped laughing. Because there are rules online. Unwritten ones. Hypocritical ones. But rules nonetheless. You can embarrass yourself. You can insult rivals. You can even self-destruct publicly and still survive it. But when a child enters a frame, especially one already surrounded by chaos, everything changes. People didn't immediately agree on what they'd heard, but they agreed on how it felt. Off, uncomfortable, like a moment that shouldn't have happened on camera. And once that discomfort spreads, outrage doesn't need proof to grow. It feeds on silence. And silence came fast. No immediate clarification. No direct explanation. No clear, calm statement to shut things down. Just vague posts, indirect replies, fragments that felt more like dodging than addressing. And when public figures go quiet at the wrong moment, the internet doesn't wait. It fills in the gaps on its own. Blogs started connecting dots. Not because they had answers, but because speculation performs better than patience. Comment sections turned into digital courtrooms. Everyone became a prosecutor. Everyone had a theory. And none of those theories were generous. Longtime followers began digging. Old footage resurfaced. Clips that once felt harmless suddenly looked different when placed next to the current controversy. That live stream where responsibility was treated like a joke. That interview where serious questions were brushed off with sarcasm. That laugh that once read as confidence now felt dismissive. Context changed everything. And once a narrative starts forming online, whether it's fair or not, it becomes almost impossible to stop. Because narratives don't need facts to spread. They need patterns. And the internet loves patterns. Fans who had defended him for years started sounding different, less confident, less patient. Some admitted they'd excused behavior before, calling it immaturity, trolling, or branding. But this felt different. This wasn't clout. This wasn't beef. This wasn't two adults choosing chaos. This involved a child. That single shift brought in a new audience, one that didn't care about the past antics at all. Parents, casual viewers, people who openly admitted they didn't follow the story but felt disturbed by what they were seeing. And when those people enter the conversation, the tone hardens fast. Words like reckless turned into irresponsible. Irresponsible turned into unforgivable. The comment section stopped debating what happened and started debating who he really was. Character, priorities, accountability. The kind of questions that don't go away once they're asked. And still, there was no clean response. Reaction channels jumped in. Commentary pages uploaded breakdowns. Hashtags began trending not because of coordination, but because outrage has momentum. Once it starts rolling, it doesn't need help. It feeds itself. Behind the scenes, rumors exploded. Anonymous accounts claimed private conversations existed. Others said messages were being deleted. Some insisted this was all being blown out of proportion. But the problem was simple. Nobody could agree on one version of events. And confusion only makes things louder. Past scandals resurface like they've been waiting for this exact moment. Every controversy stacked on top of the next like evidence in a case that no one officially opened. But everyone was convinced was real. This isn't new, people wrote. This is who he's always been. Fair or not, the internet had decided it saw a pattern. And patterns are dangerous, because once people believe them, everything fits. Even neutral moments started being reinterpreted. Silence looked like guilt to some, strategy to others, arrogance to critics, damage control to fans. There was no winning position anymore. Every move, or lack of one, was being read as intentional. Some voices tried to slow things down. They reminded people that the internet exaggerates. That clips are edited. That context matters. But reason doesn't trend. Outrage does. And outrage doesn't wait for full stories. As the hours passed, something else changed. The anger turned into anticipation. People weren't just reacting anymore. They were waiting, refreshing feeds, watching stories, expecting another response, another name, another revelation. Because scandals like this rarely end quietly, and this one felt like it was just warming up. Whispers began circulating about private apologies, about conversations happening off camera, about advice being given behind closed doors to lay low and let the storm pass. None of it confirmed, none of it proven, but all of it believable enough to spread. And belief is the most powerful currency online, because once the internet smells blood, it doesn't stop at outrage. It starts digging. And almost overnight, the conversation shifted from emotional reaction to investigation mode. Screenshots stopped being reactions and started being framed as evidence. Clips weren't just reposted. They were dissected, time-stamped, slowed down, and analyzed. The question wasn't if something went wrong anymore. It was how deep it really went. And just when it felt like the pressure couldn't rise any higher, something happened that pushed the story into a completely new phase. Because what came next, even his enemies didn't expect. And that's when the story took a turn that nobody could ignore. Because the digging didn't stay theoretical for long. Late one night, screenshots began circulating. Blurry at first, cropped just enough to feel intentional. Alleged direct messages, supposed private conversations. Nothing officially confirmed, nothing verified, but detailed enough to feel real. The kind of posts that don't scream truth, but whisper possibility. And on the internet, possibility is more than enough. Some messages hinted at panic behind the scenes. Others suggested damage control already in motion. Phrases like, "let it cool down" and "don't respond yet" were highlighted, circled, reposted. One account claimed there were conversations happening that were never meant to see daylight. Another insisted apologies had already been sent privately, just not publicly. Whether any of it was real almost stopped mattering. It fit the narrative perfectly. And that's what made it dangerous. Reaction pages move fast. Headlines screamed words like leaked, exposed, caught. Each post added another layer of suspicion. Blogs ran stories based on stories. Tweets reacted to reactions. A loop formed, and once that loop starts, it's nearly impossible to break. Then came the speculation about pressure. People started asking uncomfortable questions. Who was advising him? Was management involved? Were brands watching quietly from a distance? One viral post claimed meetings had been postponed. Another suggested partnerships were suddenly under review. No official statements confirmed any of it. But silence has a way of making rumors feel heavier than facts. And right in the middle of all that noise, a statement appeared. Not loud, not explosive, carefully worded, calm, polite, an apology. On paper, it looked like accountability, a thoughtful language, respectful tone, no aggression, no jokes, the kind of post designed to de-escalate. But online, it landed like gasoline on an already raging fire. The timing killed it. People weren't relieved. They were insulted. Comment sections flooded instantly with the same sentiment. Too late. Others asked, why now? Some went further. If nobody said anything, would this apology even exist? That question echoed everywhere. Sarcasm took over timelines. Memes popped up within minutes. Jokes about apologies only appearing once consequences show up. Nothing screams sincerity like a Notes app apology after the comments get scary. One tweet read. Another said, apologies are like receipts now. If they don't come fast, we don't want them. Behind the humor was something sharper. Anger. Because to many people, this wasn't about wording. It was about intent. They believed the apology wasn't driven by remorse, but by pressure, not reflection, reaction. And in internet culture, that distinction matters, especially when a child is involved. That part became the emotional core of the backlash. People stopped arguing about clips and started arguing about responsibility, parenting, boundaries, what should never be used as content, what should never be dragged into chaos for attention, clout, or shock value. The conversation turned personal, deeply personal. Some said everything was treated like a game. Others accused him of hiding behind controversy because it always worked before. A few went even further, arguing the situation reflected a bigger problem with celebrity culture, where chaos is rewarded and accountability is optional until it isn't. As the apology spread, more names entered the conversation. Bloggers claimed insiders were talking. Anonymous sources hinted at heated phone calls happening behind closed doors. Some said lawyers were advising everyone to stop talking publicly. Others claimed money was already being spent trying to bury the story before it grew bigger. None of it confirmed, all of it believable, and belief kept the fire alive. Meanwhile, the silence after the apology became louder than the apology itself. Every hour without a follow-up made the statement look weaker. Supporters argued it was smart. Let things cool down, don't add fuel. Critics saw it differently. To them, it looked like hiding. Old interviews resurfaced again, but this time with sharper captions. This aged badly. He told us who he was. We just didn't listen. The internet loves revisionist history, especially when it confirms outrage. Moments from years ago were reframed as foreshadowing instead of context. Fan reactions split hard. Some unfollowed immediately, announcing it publicly like a breakup. Others doubled down in defense, accusing critics of fake outrage and selective morality. Where was this energy before? They asked, why now? Comment sections turned into battlegrounds. There was no middle ground anymore. Then the rumors of consequences started gaining traction. Commentary pages hinted that brands were watching closely. Opportunities were allegedly on pause. Insiders suggested distancing was happening quietly, not loudly. No press releases, no announcements, just subtle shifts. Meetings rescheduled, calls not returned, invitations that suddenly disappeared. Internet drama is one thing. Financial fallout is another. The moment money enters a conversation, everything feels more serious. Blogs even began speculating about legal exposure. Words like liability and risk started popping up in posts written by people who clearly weren't lawyers, but the tension stuck. Because once the idea of consequences exists, perception changes. This wasn't just about opinions anymore. It was about outcomes. And yet, clarity never arrived. No full timeline. No detailed explanation. No single statement tying everything together. Just fragments. The apology. The silence. The reactions. The theories. Outrage feeding on itself. By this point, the scandal had outgrown its origin. It wasn't even about what was originally said anymore. It was about how it was handled, or mishandled, the delay, the wording, the optics. In internet culture, perception often matters more than facts, and the perception here was brutal. People weren't waiting for the truth anymore. They were waiting for the fallout, and just when it felt like the backlash had peaked, something else started to surface. Quieter, slower, and far more unsettling, because the next phase wasn't about public outrage. It was about private consequences. And that's where things really began to change. The fallout didn't arrive with a bang. It crept in quietly, the way real consequences usually do when the cameras turn away. While timelines moved on to the next outrage, this one didn't disappear. It lingered in private conversations, in delayed replies, in meetings that suddenly needed to be rescheduled. The noise faded publicly, but behind the scenes, the pressure tightened. This was the part nobody live-streamed, the part where reality settles in, and ego has nothing to hide behind. People close to the situation reportedly noticed a shift almost immediately. The joke stopped landing. The bravado softened. What once looked like untouchable confidence started to resemble exhaustion. Critics said it was finally catching up. Supporters argued it was unfair pressure. Either way, something had changed. The energy wasn't the same anymore, and everyone felt it. Online, the narrative evolved again. Instead of asking who was right or wrong, people started asking what came next. Could this be fixed? Could it be forgotten? Or was this one of those moments that permanently alters how someone is seen? Reputation isn't destroyed in one day. It erodes slowly, one controversy at a time, one misstep layered on top of the last, until suddenly the foundation gives way. Some fans held out hope for accountability, not a notes app apology, not carefully chosen words. Real action, growth, responsibility. They wanted proof that the backlash meant something. Others weren't interested in redemption at all. To them, the silence said everything. They believed this was just another storm to wait out, another scandal to outlast, another chapter that would eventually be buried under the next headline. And that's where the conversation got uncomfortable, because people started talking less about clips and more about patterns, less about reactions and more about consequences. Commentators speculated about stress, pressure, and the mental toll of constant scrutiny. A few suggested this could be a turning point, the moment where someone either steps up or spirals further. History offers examples for both outcomes. Some celebrities disappear after moments like this. Others reinvent themselves. A few double down and burn even brighter until there's nothing left to burn, and the internet, brutal as it is, watches all of it like a social experiment. In quieter corners of the web, people debated redemption itself. Is it possible? Does everyone deserve it? And if so, what does it actually look like? Because redemption isn't about statements. It's about patterns changing. And patterns take time the internet rarely allows. Meanwhile, the people most affected by the chaos weren't trending topics. They were living their lives offline, away from comment sections, away from reaction videos. That reality made some viewers uncomfortable. It forced them to confront the difference between watching drama and contributing to it, between entertainment and impact. Not everyone liked that reflection. As days passed, attention shifted again. Another scandal, another name, another distraction. But this one didn't vanish completely. It resurfaced in discussions about boundaries, about responsibility, about what happens when celebrity culture rewards chaos, until chaos stops being funny. Privately, the pressure reportedly continued. Friends urged caution. Advisors pushed strategy. The conversation wasn't about going viral anymore. It was about damage control, about survival. Every move felt risky. Every silence felt loud. Every word carried weight. Some believed a comeback was inevitable, that time heals everything, that audiences forget. Others disagreed. They argue that certain moments permanently change perception, even if success continues. You might still win, but you're never seen the same way again. And maybe that's the part no apology can erase. Because scandals don't always end with destruction. Sometimes they end with distance, with trust thinning out quietly, with doors closing softly instead of slamming shut. And that kind of ending doesn't trend, but it lasts. As speculation swirled, one thing became clear. This situation had outgrown its origin. It was no longer about a single comment or a single apology. It had become a case study in modern fame, in how fast things escalate, in how quickly narratives form, in how little control anyone truly has once the internet decides to run with a story. There was no cinematic resolution, no viral confession, no clean closure, just unanswered questions, fractured opinions, and a silence that said more than any statement ever could. Some viewers moved on, others stayed angry, a few remained hopeful, and the person at the center of it all was left in a familiar place many celebrities eventually reach after too many storms, alone with the consequences, deciding what kind of chapter comes next, because silence, in its own way, can be the loudest verdict of all. And now the question isn't what the internet thinks. The real question is what you think. Did the internet go too far? Or was this backlash overdue? Should silence be read as guilt or strategy? Was the apology sincere, or simply forced by pressure and public heat? And where do we draw the line when a child becomes part of the chaos? Stories like this don't just expose celebrities. They expose us. How fast we judge. How quickly we pick sides. How easily outrage turns into entertainment. One moment it's trending, the next it's forgotten. But the impact doesn't disappear when the hashtags fade. So let's talk about it. Drop your real thoughts in the comments. No filters, no scripts. And if you've been following the story from the beginning, make sure you subscribe, because this situation is far from over. New reactions, new developments, and possibly new fallout are still unfolding behind the scenes. This is Hood Files, where the stories don't end when the camera cuts off. They end when the truth finally catches up. Stay locked in, because the next update might change everything.